this thing, they know that the consciousness that they're talking about, they know that when they're looking at these, pinpointing these people, that the Hermetic material talks about will be a rise of a people in a faraway land. They knew, it's prophesied in 1985 versions of the first Highlander. They said there will be a great gathering in a faraway land in the movie, and that gathering will become the Highlander will rise, which would be the one. There can only be one. They're talking about one consciousness, one world, separation from the magnitude of different species and all to one Godhead that they're talking about. This is in all the texts talk about a great gathering. That's what when Reverend Phil Valentine used to put together his gathering of the masters. That concept came from a future time when there will be a people in the future that will gather together. The Europeans know it, the Jews know it, that's trying to steal our legacy. They know it. You see what I'm saying? And as a result, they were looking for, we said, well, what is this great gathering? This great gathering is none other than all forms of conscious black people who basically rose up in mass, and in mass, when we're talking about the conscious mass, which is 0 point something, we're not talking about the masses of the people, but who rose up around the late 80s, 90s, and 2000s. Now, we've always had conscious settlements, from Marcus Garvey. We can go back to the 1800s to have these particular aspects, but we've always had those, but whenever we reach back into classical antiquity, we're talking about bringing ancient Kemet, bringing other sciences, ancient Sumeria, different things that we didn't talk about in the 60s and the 70s. They knew then that intelligence, they knew that conscious community was those particular people. So you're asking, when is this great day or when are these things? They know that it is these particular conscious people that we are, and so it doesn't matter about how many people they kill, how many black people out here that's going through the trouble. There is a conscious group. Now, we got our problems. We got grave problems as conscious people, but then again, that's prophesied. Then again, that stands the reason that we have problems. We are people that's coming out of a massacre of the mind, the body, and the soul. So naturally, we would have these problems, but nevertheless, we are still conscious despite of that. So whether we like it or not, this thing is going on. You just have to look and see what it is. We take it for granted. Some guys say, well, how do you know I'm elevating? I say, well, look at all those people out there that's walking past by the thousands that don't know nothing. I'm talking about black people. For the mere fact you one person that knows something means that you are an advanced being. So so a lot of times we have been trained to look at science fiction, to look for something miraculous, and it's all based on the consciousness and what level of consciousness there is. And they know, even I got to come to Dr. Yart's defense on this, because it was the ADL who tipped the government off, or tipped the police off when they gave some police the arresting officers, the ones who went down to Eatonton and arrested him. And they gave them whatever plaque, or they gave them they rewarded the policemen, or these arresting officers. They had this big ceremony for them for going down to Eatonton and arresting Dr. Yart. So despite whatever theological differences we might have as black people, or philosophical differences, when you have that kind of people making some type of painstaking effort to go down and arrest a black person, you know it's something. And the arresting officers, when they were getting whatever they get, their awards, they said, listen, we want to thank the ADL because we could not do it if it wasn't for the ADL, with the Anti-Defamation League, and the Jews who gave us the information to go down and arrest Dr. Yart. You see, they said we couldn't have done it without them. So we're talking about this particular concept of people stealing our legacy as the ones, we're the ones. Why? Because we don't know no poor Jews. These people are rich. You see what I'm saying? and we are still struggling. So that this thing, there's some things that just go without saying. We're the original people. So, we know we're the ones. That's, as conscious people, but still yet we got people stealing the legacy. You see. And it's still ongoing. So don't be discouraged or disenfranchised. We're going to go into some things. We got, I'm still doing the research, but the information I'm doing now is going so far into the spirit and it's going down to the subtle things. It's not the major things that the ego likes to hear, all the major scientific things. What we're dealing with now is the realm of the Great Mother who took over completely. This thing is now run by the feminine principle completely. You see what I'm saying? And as a result, it's like a mother. The things they talk about as innate things is no different than an innate thing between a mother and a child. And this is the way we, to get what you want. So we're going to go into a lot of things now. Principles to enrich your life for the time we have left. There's things you can do to enrich your life every day, or what you want, or things for health, things for remedy. But these particular things are not coming in major things that you have to buy. It's dealing with things on the Great Mother. It's just like your mother is dealing with things on the Great Mother level, whereas your connection with her is stuff that is very simple, but it's real sublime. And it's going to be the hardest thing to do because at this particular time, you can't front and say, I'm the great master. And you can convince everybody out here how astute you are and how much spiritual you are. You can't front that way because it's dealing with the inner self, and you only know whether you fucked up or not. You and that particular Great Mother, we're going to go into this thing. This thing is going down now to the point where, as I'm telling you, things are working, that it's real subtle. It's real subtle. One of the entities is Sri Lakshmi, or Sri Lakshmi. She's a deity over wealth and prosperity. And when she comes into the kingdom, like she came into the kingdom of Vishnu, which is one of her counterparts. This is East India. And she's also from a Heru, Venus, Aphrodite, Anana, Astarte, Urzuli. But in this particular case, the counterpart of this wealth, you see, these things are almost like formulas. And although she is the other goddesses that I talked about, and not a lot of you all like to go and deal with your tradition that you're into, because we don't like change. So you will take the equivalent of Heru, because some people into the Hemmitt, some people are into the voodoo, and you'll take Urzuli, you'll take Yin and Yang, and she's all of that, but when you call on them in those other traditions, there might be other attributes that she does in those traditions. But in this particular case, when we talk about wealth and prosperity, you need to call on Lakshmi or Sri Lakshmi. As a matter of fact, they call currency in some of the parts of India Lakshmi. How much Lakshmi do you have? So Vishnu is a Heru type of goddess that she comes in contact with. But when she's with that Vishnu, his kingdom is prosperous. Whenever she leaves, the kingdom starts to fall. Now, we talk about this because there's some stuff you need to get. She has an incense called Lakshmi drops. It's a little box. I don't know. You go to East Indian places, I don't know, but you can find this stuff in New York. And it's called Lakshmi drops. And you burn those incense, and the money starts to come. I bought some Lakshmi drops and lit the incense, and people start calling on the phone, hey, I'm going to send you some money Friday.